to Quickshots.
Welcome to the Quickshots with James and Alex. No, not Alex today. Little Apple is in the Big Apple. Filling in for her is Mitch. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, James. It's a pleasure.
I'm going to give you two questions and I'll take one today because that's
Beautiful.
what I can do when I do the intro. Normally I'm on the other end of that one.
Yeah.
First one here, there's two parts. I've combined two questions, so thank you, Victor and Thomas. Question one, it's a follow-on from last week's Queensland land tax Quickshot. So if you want to go back to that and have a listen. Victor wants to know, is land tax applicable if you own land in different entities and companies? And then Thomas would like to know the likelihood that the Queensland land tax changes will be adopted in other states. So I'll let you handle that one first.
Yeah, great questions. And so starting with Victor, is land tax applicable if you own in different entities? Look, it's a bit of a grey area. If those entities are related, then absolutely. However, people have told me you can get around it, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it. Another point to note on that as well is that the threshold for companies when it comes to land tax is $350,000, whereas it's $600,000 as an individual. So if you're buying in an entity that's the corporation or a company, you will have a lower land tax threshold. As for the changes being adopted in other states, look, I think it probably will be at some point because at the end of the day, it's allowing those states to recoup more money. And if it's successful by levying that tax on people that own, property across the country and making it easier for the state governments to collect on that, then, yeah, it's likely that I reckon that other states will follow.
I don't reckon. No, I don't reckon. I think we haven't seen the end of this Queensland one.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see the Property Council, the Urban Development Institute.
You reckon it'll get lobbied?
It. I think it'll be lobbied. Yeah, because you think about it. Why does other states' land calculations come into a service that this state provides? And secondly, we've got like a housing crisis, so it's a disincentive. But anyway, we might
see.
park that.
I'm more thinking,
maybe we deal with that one in its own little segment.
Mate, that
in the
should be a main body segment
next week.
Yeah,
all right.
no, I like it. It's a good view. We've got one from Alison here for you, James. Sorry,
right.
From David, I should say.
Oh, yeah, okay.
David,
you give me this one.
Sorry, yeah. I've had a look at that going, David's going straight to you, James. David wants to know what proportion of the retiree population have adequate super, hence do not rely on the younger population, in brackets workers, to support them nor place a demand for expanding immigration.
David, good question. The answer is about 10%. So roughly 700 Australians retiring every single week, I think it is, in Australia, and roughly 630 of those do rely on the pension. So it is a significant chunk, about 90%, who are going to rely on the pension there. So a good point, David. Something that obviously every Australian should do as best they can to try and get around that, because it is a big problem for the country and why we rely on bringing in migrants to prop up the worker population. I'll give this last one to you, Alison, and I couldn't have a better man to answer this one. Alison wants to know, when will the short supply of housing in South East Queensland catch up with demand?
Great question, Alison. So firstly, I don't think it ever will, to be quite honest. Housing in Queensland, I'll go back to the start there. There's two things that I consider there. The solution for, I guess, short supply of housing is two things: build more land or unlock more land, or build more density. So obviously with the shortage of land in Queensland, I don't think that can happen, and it's certainly not a quick solution. It can take sometimes 15 years to activate,
Costs a lot of money.
Costs a lot of money. You've got to build services to bring it out. So density is going to be the likely solution there. But I think over the next 10 years, particularly with, the Brisbane Olympics on the horizon, we're going to continue to see population filling into southeast Queensland. So they're going to have to push for density. And look, will it catch up? It may do, but I don't think it ever will in house and land. I think that the solution is density moving forward.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And again, the Brisbane Olympics makes Brisbane become a big city, doesn't it? And
correct.
Some people might not want that. It might sound good.
Yeah.
But you might not want that. So interesting times coming up for South East Queensland. Thank you Mitch, we're lucky to have you back next week. Little Apple, if you're listening, we miss you. We hope you're enjoying your time over there in the Big Apple. If you've got questions for us, our listeners, please send them in. Instagram handle at thedoubleshot.podcast. Our emails are always in the show notes. We love to hear from you. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, okay, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.